Thank you.
Margaret, Niall Donnghaile.
Ceannar fásta bailm héin chur leis an cóhróna tá deanta le lucht ina fáil an seo in san seanad agus a cóghlacíthe de manas ó cealaí in san cóirle áitiúil I dtír Conall agus leis a chlán agus a cardiar fad. Cathaoirleach, I want to, speaking as while this impacts me, I suppose, in two ways. I want to agree with what Senator Lawless said earlier on, not least in my capacity as the diaspora spokesperson for Sinn Féin in the Seanad. I fully support what Billy said today, and I fully support him in his endeavours to give voice to our global diaspora here in the Houses of the Oireachtas, because I have no doubt that we, all of us across this chamber, deeply value the role and the contribution and the input that our diaspora have to Irish life. Many members here will have been part of the diaspora and will have family currently part of the diaspora here and now as well. But I do have to refer to recent media commentary that I don't think accurately reflects that feeling of connectivity that we have and value that we have for our diaspora. And much like Senator Lawless, while I would much prefer to light a candle than curse the dark, I do have to take issue with some of the public utterances, because we are going to be up against this ignorance over the next few months. Many people have made really hurtful, really disparaging comments about our diaspora. Many of them have also been levelled at people like me from the north. One Irish Times columnist spoke about the anomaly of allowing what she deemed NI citizens. There's no such thing as an NI citizen. There's only British or Irish designation in the north. The only anomaly that exists is the anomaly that partitions this country and doesn't allow us to partake in full and equal life of the rest of Irish politics. That's the anomaly we have to deal with. Our diaspora are not an anomaly. Our diaspora contribute practically, tangibly, spiritually and politically to Irish life, and I think we owe them this job of work to be completed. So, in concluding, Cathaoirleach, I want to encourage members. We'll have all received an invitation today from VICA, the Voice of Irish Citizens Abroad campaign, to come to their Dublin launch of their campaign on the 10th of July in the Epic Centre around at the Quays, so that we, all of us, can join together, government, opposition, independents, all of us, to ensure that this referendum is won. My colleague, Senator Marshall, spoke on UTV last week and said that no one has anything to fear from this referendum. That applies right across the board. None of us have anything to fear, so let's go and win this.
Go first, my apologies. Senator Lawless.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. Firstly, Cathaoirleach, I'd like to welcome my brother, Gerald from Dubai, and my brother-in-law, Patrick O'Toole, and all my friends from Galway, and of course from Cork. My mother was from Clonakilty, so you get to know that. Cathaoirleach, I would like to welcome the announcement by the Government to publish the general scheme of the bill that will facilitate a referendum on whether the Irish diaspora should be entitled to vote in our presidential elections. As someone who has campaigned to allow the diaspora vote in our elections for many years, I am absolutely delighted that this question will now firmly be put to the Irish people. Today I am not going to address the myths and fears surrounding this referendum, but instead speak to what kind of message a yes vote would say to the world and to our Irish community living right across the globe. We spend a lot of time in this country rightly expressing the pride we feel in giving the Céad Míle Fáilte to all those who visit our shores, and how that welcome contributes to our world-famous tourism industry that creates tens of thousands of jobs and enriches communities right across the country. When our country was on the floor and net immigration began to rise again for the first time since the 1980s, foreign direct investment in tourism is what kept our economic engine from complete collapse, and our new and old diaspora gave us hope of what was possible. In September 2009, 13% of this country was unemployed. Ireland's economy was falling rapidly at a rate of minus 7.1%. And for the first time since 1995, more people left Ireland than moved here. Yet, in the middle of this state of hopelessness, Ireland hosted its first ever Global Irish Economic Forum, which blended major global businesses, thriving members of the Irish diaspora and some of our domestic champions to forge a future for how Ireland was going to exit its economic nightmare. It was this conference which espoused hope for our future and ultimately laid the seeds for what was the bounty of our recovery, a diet of foreign investment and tourism. As a nation, we have always done better when we open our minds, our hearts and our island. And in this context that I would like this referendum to be framed. Connections to diaspora create more jobs, enhance communities and strengthen diplomatic ties across the world. Ireland is up there with the best in the world at harnessing these ties to our benefit, but we are not the best and we could be better. Those countries who are the best in the world give their diaspora a real and meaningful voice in their country. Rightly, in the local elections which just passed, every person who was living in this state was provided a vote, even those who may have been just in Ireland for a year or intend to only stay for 3. How can we say to those across the globe who wake up in the morning, log on to RTE.ie, gather in Irish pubs to watch the GAA championships, teach their kids Irish dancing and hold passports to this country, that they are forbidden from having any democratic connection to our nation? What about our brothers and sisters in Northern Ireland, cast away by an English government who care little for the democratic desire to stay part of the European Union? What this vote will ask the Irish people is, every 7 years, do you want to allow our diaspora a formal say in choosing who is to represent our state, our island and our nation? As far as I am concerned, the Irish of the diaspora is just as Irish as every man and woman sitting in this House, and I relish the chance to play a role in fighting for their voice to be heard in our democracy. So I urge the Government to publish the scheme, then the bill, and let's have this referendum in October. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Lawless, Senator Rose Conway Welsh.
Before the applause, I absolutely thank you. But I absolutely concur with what Senator Lawless has just said. And the scurrilous reports in the Irish Times by Sarah Carey in particular over the weekend was absolutely disturbing. And I say that from the point of view as somebody who was part of the Irish diaspora, who lived in London for many years. Do you mean to tell me that because I returned here, I can have a vote, but my brothers and sisters who live in Birmingham and in London and other parts of the world aren't allowed to have a vote? Our Irish diaspora are about more than just shaking them down whenever we want a bit of help or a bit of support, but we don't want to see or we don't want to hear what they have to say. They are equally valid Irish citizens, and on that basis they should certainly have a vote. It is not a gift to them. It is their absolute right to have a vote in the presidential elections and indeed in other elections. But let's deal with the presidential elections first. There is nothing to be feared whatsoever from hearing from the Irish diaspora.